Hey there, today we're going to talk about velocity versus time graphs. So velocity versus time graph will look like this. On one side, on the y-axis, you'll have speed or velocity, and on the bottom you'll have time. Obviously the line will be in the middle. The velocity versus time graphs are used to show changes in speed or velocity over time. Now, change in speed or velocity over time is known as acceleration. So how to read these graphs? This is going to be a little bit more brief of an explanation because reading a velocity versus time graph is just like reading a distance versus time graph, except for instead of distance, obviously it's showing you the velocity. Okay, so on your y-axis you'll have the velocity or the speed. On the bottom you'll have the time. And again, the angle and direction of this line will show you the acceleration. Whereas on a distance versus time graph it showed you the speed, this one shows you acceleration or change in speed. So a few common velocity versus time graphs. Before I go over those, I want to make this key point. It is really important to look at the y-axis. Look at what it's labeled. You're going to have questions that are having you compare speed versus time, velocity versus time graphs against distance versus time graphs. Being able to look at that y-axis, knowing exactly what it says, allows you to know exactly what information is on that graph to answer those questions correctly. Okay? So a straight line in a velocity versus time graph is going to mean a constant speed. The speed is not changing. Whatever the speed is, it could be 1,000,000 miles an hour or 4, the speed is constant. When you have a line that starts lower and goes up against the y-axis, that velocity is increasing. That's going to be positive acceleration. It can be angled like that, it can be a straight line, and how obviously the angle of that line will tell you how much the acceleration was changing. And then last but not least, if the line slopes downward, that's negative acceleration, the velocity is decreasing, it's slowing down. That's all for velocity versus time graphs.